Hi guys, quick update here for YouTube on the stock market and Bitcoin. It's Tuesday, 8th of August 2023. Hope everyone's doing all right. Quick update here. So if you want to have a look at the group, the courses that we have, as well as the mortgage amortization course, everything's there. It's 10% discount code, which I'm going to be doing until the end of this month. I will be posting that onto the YouTube page. The Facebook page, and obviously just have a look through our previous videos that we've got here, going 3 or 4, even 5 years ago now. We said Dow might go to 40k. That is still possible, and we're going to investigate the count there. So everything's here. If you want to pay via crypto, just message me through the Facebook page. So S&P, let's just get it out there in terms of the count. What actually is the count now? When the S&P was down here, it was looking rather dodgy. With all that being said, we still maintain the idea that we were going to run at least as an absolute minimum 4,300, which was the wick, which you can see on the 3-month chart. We spoke about the benefit of doing multi-time frame analysis, especially if you're more longer term. Now, the way we've got to 4,300, we're still rather skeptical on this move, I would say. We're still rather bearish in the institutional positioning. The dollar is looking very, very weak, and the curve, the 10 and 2 curve, is still inverted. So there is still the potential, I think, for this market to go higher. So let's now investigate every single possible count. I don't think it's a 1, 2, 3 coming down Harry Dent, Wet Dream, Truman Show count. I don't think that's going on. Because I don't think it's a 1, 2, it can also not be an ABC. That's way too much of a crash. And it can't be a WXY, right? So we've negated now, and have been doing for quite some time. We've been bullish off this entire move. Coinbase, regional banks, which we're going to get onto. Obviously, what's going to happen is all the bears are going to come out off the woodwork, claim that they're right, and call for a large C wave down, right? So we've taken out the count off a flat. Now, could it be a larger flat? I also don't think that is going to happen, because if you zoom out enough, even this count doesn't make any sense. When it was down here, and it was looking very, very bearish, I did think an ABC was possible, right? I no longer think that that's the case. This count doesn't make sense. Neither does a WXY, right? So we don't think it's a zigzag down. We don't think it's a flat. Now, what is the only count left? The only other count left is a real impulse. I'm talking a real Elliott wave impulse. Well, that gets you Apple to 400 minimum, Microsoft to 600, S&P to 10,000. I don't think it's mathematically possible, given how much weakness there is really, other than the top 10 stocks, for this stock market to get to 10,000. So, how do we make an all-time high and it not be an impulse, and it not be a zigzag, and it not be a flat? You're only left with the dodgy count, which is a diagonal. We're ending a 250-year bull market followed by a devastating stock market crash that's going to go 666, likely in the next couple of years. So how do we go up and satisfy an all-time high count while not being any of these? It has to be an ending diagonal. This count is nowhere on YouTube. No one's talking about it, so it's the only count which makes sense. All of this is actually an ending diagonal. It's the only way I can make sense out of what's really going on. This will take another couple of years, right? Years. I'm talking 2025, 2026. Now, then it depends how bearish you want to get. Technically speaking, that also satisfies the count from 4 years ago, by the way, 43209. I think that's very much possible on the Dow. Technically, that then leads to the single biggest stock market vertical decline, absolute vertical crash in human history. That is Elliott wave. We've been speaking about this for over 6 years, and we've nailed every single move since the first YouTube video calling for a Bitcoin crash. That's the only way to make sense. So this market is going to get very, very messy, very corrective, but it is going to go up. And of course, what do we know about ending diagonals? There's a YouTube educational video if you guys want to check it out. If you want to know more how to forecast your targets, I can't give too much away obviously on YouTube. You'll have to buy the course. Watch out for that 10% discount code. This is how it's going to break down. Each of these have to break up into 3, 3, followed by another 3, another 3, another 3, right? So then we get the big crash. and that's going to take years to play out. Now, we are Q4 23. Well, we're going into Q4 23, right? So we're like Q3, Q4 23. We don't think they're going to crash this market in 24, presidential election year. Then we're going on to another couple of years, 25. Going into 2026, we've known for the last 6 years a very big crash is going to come. So at the latest, this market's going to top in 2026 Q4. Earliest, I'd say Q3, Q4, 25. I'm getting pretty concerned here. How high can this go? Well, as we said down here, 6, 6, 7, 3. So I'm not calling for a giant rally here to 12k S&P. I'm talking for more like another 50%. I do not think the October lows are going to get tested anytime soon. Now, let's go on the short term. Short term, my feeling is, and has been for the last week, that this move is over. This entire move from October, this pattern is over. This constitutes, I think, a W wave. So this is the count which we've been sharing in the group. The benefit of being in the group, you get everything when you need to get it. There's no lag. It's all in real time, because sometimes, given the way this market is with all these fake gamma squeezes up and down, you need to be pretty quick. I think the W wave is in. I do not feel this is a wave 4, one more new high, then we have a larger correction. I think we're already in a larger correction. Now, what correction does the S&P like to do? Flat corrections. We've known this for a very, very long time. So something like this, literally something like this, could easily play out for the rest of this month going into Q4. And then we set up the Q4 rally, all-time new highs. Yeah? So this market is going to go higher. We're going to make all-time new highs. We could easily hit, 6,700 here in the next couple of years. It's just that for the next couple of months, short term, we're going to consolidate. So this trending market is going to be over here short term. Likely at least another couple of weeks, maybe up until first, second week of October. Then alongside Bitcoin, altcoins, we get a very nice Thanksgiving, end of the year FOMO party to all-time new highs, followed by which point obviously we're then going to correct. So things are going to be very messy. Counting this in real time is going to be difficult, but that is what I think is going on. I am not forecasting, just to be clear, this wave 3, wave C or wave W. These October lows are going to remain the lows for quite some time. Now, how low then can we go? Let's assume I've got this right. Well, very simply, first of all, let's go on the SPY so we get real volume. Obviously, with the SPY, you just want to times it by 10, and then you've got your S&P. First of all, let's pull up a volume profile. Right, so the value area high is here. Right, so pulling back to the VPOC, first of all, that's a bit of a deeper correction, 412, although that will satisfy people getting very, very bearish. If we break 4,100, everyone will go very, very bearish. Always ask yourself, when you're in any investment, how high does it need to go to get long capitulation and get everyone squeezed out of their shorts? And how low do we now have to go to get everyone bearish and all the longs to capitulate? Well, 4,100 satisfies that. The value area high is at 426. What else do we know? Fibonacci. Right, where is the first logarithmic correction that we have to go to, really? I mean, it's very hard to say we can't go to at least 4,300, then we go down to here. Like I said, a move to 4,100 actually psychologically makes a lot of sense. It will get everyone bearish because everyone's got a 1-2 count or a WXY or some kind of nonsense. They're not understanding what's really going on here. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised with 4,100. I'm more of the opinion we settle between 42 and 43. A big reason for that is ES really shouldn't have a futures gap. It really shouldn't have a futures gap, right? It's pretty much a 24-hour market other than Saturday, Sunday, and late on Friday night. There shouldn't be an intraday futures gap. Maybe someone in the comment section can explain what actually happened here, because I've not been able to make sense of this since it occurred. That's abnormal. We obviously get a 1-hour close, 10 p.m. UK. That would be 5 p.m. Eastern time. There's a 1-hour close for the ES, but really it's a 24-hour market. Those intra-day gaps they should get filled immediately. Why is there a gap at 4327? This is where this initial move wants to go, I think. So, to summarize then, we're not going to the October lows. We're going to correct though. So top to bottom, that's at least a 5-6% correction at least. Yeah. 4100 would be the uber bear market move. Yeah. 10%. That would be more. That would definitely get everyone bearish. If we break all of this here, that would get people very bearish. I think the ES gap is nailed on, and I think we're going to end up doing some kind of 3-3-5. All of these are buy the dip opportunities. I'm expecting this market to correct now for the next couple of months and then set up the move to all-time new highs. The real count is an ending diagonal. As long as I continue not to see that count, it's probably correct. Now, as per various YouTube videos, obviously it's good to know how to read a chart, a great benefit. Your job is to outperform. I don't think any passive investor or savings account or bond market could ever outperform an active stock picker. It's just not going to happen. The best investors are the ones who can pick stocks. So we called for a low in the regional banks when it was here. That's a huge move even without leverage. Are we done? No. So short term, because the S&P is going to correct, they might convert it into a small flat. Short term is irrelevant here. The long term trend is very clearly up. We said 56 on Western Alliance by Labor Day, and that was 3 months ago. Obviously, Labor Day is in about 3 weeks' time, right? So we're pretty much there. We're at 52. Now, is a move like this likely, even if the S&P corrects? No. It's just sideways consolidation, right? We're in Niagara Falls. There's no volume here. You're just going to have to take my word for it. In fact, you don't have to take my word for it. We'll just pull it up here on the volume, on the fixed range. We'll just increase the resolution there to about 300. Spartan connection there. So 300, there's no volume here. So we're going through Niagara Falls. It's going to move pretty quick, and it is doing. We've just rejected off a low volume node up here. We're now building the cause. When you hit a low volume node, it's very normal for the market to correct base and then rip right through it again. So ultimately, 56 by Labor Day, that was a call we made down here. We're pretty much there. Eventually, though, this will fill this gap and this gap. And on the KRE, we're looking for 56 too. So, huge dividends here. This is exactly like oil stocks 3 years ago. Anyone not identifying this opportunity really has missed that. Look at the move on Zion. It was a 6% dividend when it was down here. It's going ex-div in August, and Western Alliance is going ex-div here. So, there's capital appreciation and there's dividend flow. So, by the end of this year, regional banks will obviously be a big part of the winners for the year. There'll be window dressing going into the end of the year. And if you really zoom out, for those who are extra long term, technically that's a 1-2. What if they get an out? They could get a bid for $75 for their stock by PNC or something. Technically that's we could easily do that. Obviously that will take decades to get up there. We're not really interested in decade holding if the world's going to end in 2.5 years. But short term, this entire liquidation is going to get reversed, and that's just how the game works. Pessimism, so stocks bottom on pessimism, rise on skepticism, which is pretty much where we are, mature on optimism. We're not really optimistic yet, and then they're going to die off euphoria. I can pretty much write you the headline on Thanksgiving Day. Western Alliance will be at 70. The headline's going to be regional banks are back. Everything is great in the world, and suddenly we get a larger correction. I don't think these lows will get visited ever again, though. Certain lows in certain stocks you will never see ever again. Now, so that's KRE, and obviously Coinbase, we caught the move here and projected to 100. So we nailed that move too. So it's very useful to be part of the group. And if you don't want to be part of the group, take the educational classes. I'm giving it away, frankly. It's way too much information there. But there will be a 10% discount code on top of that too. So that's regional banks. That's the S&P. Now let's go on to our favorite market, and has been our favorite market for over 5.5 years when we called the initial crash. Bitcoin, the enigma that is Bitcoin, this Plato's allegory of the cave over here. So, how many ways can you really skin this cat here? So basically, let's just say that we're right on the S&P. First of all, let's just compare this to the Dow, because I know there's a lot of commentators who like to comment on the Dow and the Bitcoin correlation. I don't see anything there. In fact, what we'll do, we'll cover the Dow first. Let's cover the Dow first, right? So the Dow also is an ending diagonal, right? Obviously, I could not have known that 4.5 years ago. So what did we say? We said 43209, and what did we say 6.5 years ago? Dow to 40k. But then we refined the end of the world target 43209, right? So let's just mark out for a laugh. This is the power of Elliott wave if you know how to use it, right? 43209 is there. Now, can we get there? Well, I think so. From current levels. Yeah, that's another 21%. I mean, we can hit 50k here. Now, what is the wedge? So it's an ending diagonal, basically a rising wedge, right? You can draw one line here, and obviously you can draw one line there, right? Something like that, right? We think the S&P is still secular bull for at least 2024. Election is here. No one's going to want a crash soon after the election. 2026, we know we have to be worried anyway. And there's our target, hypothetical, mythical. Well, it's not hypothetical at all because we'll definitely get there, let's be honest. But it's a mythical target, 43209. A, B, some kind of funky C, D, and then E. Throw over. Whole world gets bullish. All 7 billion of us. And then next thing you know, I mean, the Dow technically is going to the 87 high. You know, technically that's been a 50-year short squeeze for most people's lives. So I don't see how this can't happen. You know, that's only a 94% collapse. So technically that is possible. Because it's the end of a major cycle. So that's the count on the Dow. 50k is possible. I'm sure they could do a euphoric top. I mean, even 50k, is that asking for a lot? Yes, 39%. It's not really asking for a lot, but I'm going to stick with 43209. So let's now go on to Bitcoin and compare it to the Dow. Let's make sure we're still recording here. 17 minutes. We don't want to bore anyone here. So let's just get this correlation out of the way. I don't think there's any correlation here to be had. You know, I don't think Bitcoin makes a new high before the Dow on the S&P top. So Bitcoin is in a very complicated, you know, kind of market here. Complicated bear market. Once everything crashes 90%, obviously Bitcoin will have its big move down to 2k, and that then completes the super cycle. So I think Bitcoin's already topped, and it has done a while ago. And what supports the idea is many stocks have already topped in the first crash, like Alibaba, Roku, Shopify, Square, PayPal. 90% of the Nasdaq has already topped. That's why this move is very dodgy. Calling for Dow 40k, it's only very specific stocks. Then when we get the next crash next year, many of the other stocks are going to top, and then it just so happens that everything has to diverge one last time before we get the actual crash. Everything the last 5 years, sorry, let me take that back. Well, technically it is the last 5 years, but everything the last 3 years minimum is basically an offloading of positions to retail traders. That's what's really going on. It's an undercover, although not so undercover, collapse of the US government bond market, right? So mortgage rates will go to 10%. It's a corporate bond bubble collapse. Whilst all of that is going on, they're offloading everything to retail traders, but they're doing strategic manipulation of the indexes through 7 or 8 stocks to give everyone the impression everything's okay. So that's what's really going on. For those who are clocking on to what's really going on. Why is the market going up yet? Most of the stocks are in major 50-year bear market. So Bitcoin is not going to make a new high before 2026. I don't think that's possible, even with the halving. I think we can get close. I don't think it makes a new high. So I don't see any correlation with Bitcoin and the Dow at all. You know, if the Dow makes a new high, Bitcoin doesn't have to make a new high. I think eventually everything's going to collapse. It will be a full-blown bubble collapse across the board, real estate included, and but you're going to be waiting another, I'd say, 1.5 years for that to happen. But Bitcoin has already topped, though. That's what I'm trying to say. So if Bitcoin has topped until the world ends in 2026, and we're going to go 2K, well, then do we think this is a W of some description? We think that's a W. You could also read it as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, by the way, as an A wave. It doesn't really matter. So all of this And then that's the Y wave. So we are in a very complicated couple of years here with Bitcoin. I think eventually it could probably get to 40K. Short term, that does look like a bit of a rising wedge. It's very hard to maintain something bullish here short term. And then we could probably reverse and then go back up again. But this market, this is not a bullish impulse under any circumstances that this will immediately go to 100,000 anytime soon. We still have targets at 44K. They could just run it up from here and do 44K and just do a 1-to-1 with the bear flag. That's possible. But then if we still maintain the idea and the thought process that the S&P and Bitcoin are correlated in the sense that Bitcoin is a liquidity marker, we're saying the S&P is going to go into a 5 to 6 week, maybe 7 week correction. Surely you'd want lower prices on Bitcoin, and historically August and September is the only down month on average ever on Bitcoin. Obviously it's been going up in a vertical line since 2009, which was over a couple of years ago. There's no major super cycle going on. Not these prices. At 2K is different. So we know September's a very bad month. So if history is anything to go by, we know August and September can be dodgy for the market anyway, due to the tax drain affecting fiscal flows and everything else. So it would make sense for this to just correct somewhat, and I think easily make it back to 20-25K, and then maybe you're looking at, okay, that's the A, or some W, that's another X wave. Then we get 2025 Bitcoin, 25K, and then as it's a liquidity marker, we correlate with the S&P and make new highs. But the correlation that the Dow makes a new high and Bitcoin does, I don't think that's a real correlation, not anymore anyway. Perhaps in history that's been the case, but something like that. I don't think Bitcoin offers anything here at all. Frankly, you could argue Bitcoin offers nothing until the end of the decade because all the money's made in altcoins. Now, for those who have been part of the group, we called all the lows in all of these AGIX and et al. So 10x moves at the start of the year. We got all of them. And we got Pepe, and we got Solgado, and we got XRP. Right? So all of these have been documented in the group. So there's a benefit of joining the group. I think XRP has to give a lot of that back. We sold that position here. It's got a very powerful fractal, but the problem with fractals is, number one, everyone eventually finds out about them, and if everyone knows something, it's probably not going to happen. And number two, the rest of the market isn't in a bull market, and that's the problem with XRP. However powerful that fractal is, Bitcoin is not going to make a new high, I don't think, you could argue, till the end of this decade. That's a decade top up there. But there's money to be made in other areas, which is probably who the group would benefit the most. Those who are interested in making money and don't really care whether they buy Western Alliance with a 4% dividend and Zion Bank, or they buy XRP. If there's people who are not really caring and they understand all of these are just the same thing, you're not investors at all you're doing is buying a price and buying it low and selling high. Those who understand that principle and are frustrated with a 5% savings account when your money is tied in for a year, perhaps the group might be quite useful to those individuals, of which there are probably many. So XRP, I think, has to give some of that back. Solana, we've caught this move twice now, here and here. I don't think it returns to this high anytime soon. Here currently, I still think it can give some more gains back here. I mean, I was looking at less than $20 to jump back in, basically. That's what we were looking at. I mean, you could easily count a 5 or an A into there. Because so you could count an A, you could count a 1 into there. So what do? We look for where are the blocks and where's all the liquidity. I mean, that would be a bargain, I think, again, below $20. Is that the move out of it? Possibly, but they could just convert that into a little mini flat. So I think Solana below 20 offers another appealing structure, but appealing entry. And as we know, the money's lost on the entry, not on the exit. We caught this move to the dot, and it's not ever returned to that low. But obviously, you don't want to hold through all of this, yeah? So, you buy low and you sell high. Always, you want to get a good entry, and now it's gone into a bit of a mess. I mean, Solana, I don't think it's... we don't want to call anyone out here. Bless them. So we won't do that. because we stopped doing that with Hedge and Lee a while ago. Bless him. So it's you can't call a real bull market here in crypto anytime soon. However, what you can call is superb in and out swing trades from 2 days to 6 weeks, which once again is what the masterclass is really designed for. Swing traders predominantly. Obviously, there are day trading techniques and for more longer term investors too. So I don't think there's anything there for Solana just yet. And what's the time? I don't think there's anything else really cover really. So if you want to join the group, everything's there. Please do have a look through the other videos. I'll hopefully get some more educational content out here at some point. There's various educational videos there, and obviously if you've got the masterclass, then you've got it there too. That's really your manual to operate the next couple of years. I think the S&P is in an ending diagonal. I think that is the count. I've not as of yet seen that count anywhere, so that seems to make the most amount of sense. Solana is going to now do the opposite of what I think it's going to do and just break out of this long-term trend line. So this is definitely one to be watching here. Almost makes me want to think it's bullish right now, but I mean, I suppose there's no harm in buying. I mean, I just kind of have this with these videos. We've S-curved this pattern. We have retested. So if one has a tight stop, maybe they convert it into a flat. I still think, though, there's more downside to Bitcoin overall, though. I don't think we visit the lows, though. And I've maintained that. So once this correction's over on the S&P, I mean, that is a multi-year low. I don't see this happening. But likewise, I don't see a move to 100k. So we need Bitcoin to start moving here so some of that money can filter into the altcoins. I mean, when I look at it on the 3-month, I mean, it's not really falling apart, is it? I mean, we're just hoping for some kind of shakeout, though. Some kind of panic sell-off would be really welcome. Not just in the S&P and the NASDAQ, Apple, Microsoft. A quick little shakeout on some really bizarre news, that would be really welcome here, because something like this would be a great entry. 25k, we run this low, go under, back over, S-curve it, there's your stop, boom, we got our move to 40k, 44k perhaps, but not a move to 69k. You're not gonna see that in a long time. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up there.